Stop. I don't know why that's making me emotional. I love Sister Holland. Before you write a mean comment, just know you're writing it to a pregnant woman. So don't.
Oh, dear.
Elder Kieran, I'm just letting you know you've set the bar really high for yourself. It's this magenta, bright spring tie. It's a great look on him. I think, yep, I'm impressed. If Eric was ever in charge of the wardrobe for the Tabby Cat,
Good luck to the women,
happen.
because who knows what I would do there, but the men would have some stuff happen.
Oh my gosh. Welcome to the Third Hour Podcast, where we talk about real topics within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and do our... Hold on. What do I usually
Sometimes
say?
we make it through an episode.
What do I say? Welcome to the Third Hour Podcast, where we talk about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and real topics within it. My name is Mimi Bascom, and I'm joined by my co-host, Eric. How are you, Eric?
Good. It's been a while. I'm doing good.
I know. We're glad to have you back, and we're doing our semi-annual General Conference reaction/recap episode. This was a good one, and I feel like there's actually a lot to talk about. There were a lot of changes and just like exciting stuff to talk about. Yeah.
Oh, like people getting called and released?
I mean, you clearly didn't look at the outline. There's a lot.
Ooh. I mean, I was just thinking about like when we had the number of hours of church change.
I know.
Or the whole, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there wasn't like big changes like that. I guess more like within conference itself. Okay, so for example, we'll get right into it.
Oh, like presiding.
Yes. Okay. So we'll start with this. Saturday morning session starts. We go right in with the sustainings and the church audit report. Usually that's Saturday afternoon. Do you have any speculation as to why they changed it?
Just get right to business. Don't dawdle around, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, why did they ever have it Saturday afternoon then?
You see, all the brethren are kind of getting up there in years, and they realized, why wait for something that needs to get done? Just get it done. You know? Like, don't do it in the second session when you do it in the first.
I mean, I feel like it makes sense to do it in the first. So then I'm like, well, why did they ever have it? There must have been a reason.
I have no idea. Maybe they thought people wouldn't wake up in the morning. They get better viewership in the second one.
I mean, maybe.
But
then you would think they would just do it on Sunday, because I feel like Sunday is typically more watched like live, you know?
Yeah, because people have conflicts on Saturdays more than Sunday and stuff. So yeah, it makes sense.
And I feel like it is cool to like be a part of that, like raising your hand, knowing that all the members that are watching live are also. So, I mean, that was just one thing that I noticed. Okay. I have to make a note as well about the MOTAB.
The who?
Okay. The Tabby Cats.
The who?
The Tabernacle. What? The Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square.
There you go.
It's Tabby Cats now.
It's not Tabby Cats.
Yeah, it is. As soon as MOTAB was done.
You could say Tab Cats or T-Cats, not Tabby. You can't just throw a Y in there.
Yeah.
If it's going to be an acronym, it's got to actually be an acronym. But it's
not even just an acronym.
That's why it's got to be T-Cats.
And the thing is, Tabby Cats never even caught on.
Yeah, that's why you also shouldn't say that.
But I feel like
everyone in the comments like, what are you talking about?
They looked like angels in their white dresses.
I mean, that's got to be what they were going for.
Yeah, like it was the first session of conference. They're in white. They're like glowing.
I was surprised they didn't have the men matching though.
Really? I've never seen men in white like outside the temple though.
I know, but same with women wearing all white outside of a wedding.
Well, no, I have like some white dresses. I have cream.
All white though.
I have cream.
I was just surprised they didn't full send it, you know, and have the men there in white too.
That would be crazy. Like, what would you do if you show up to the conference center?
And to make it not look like temple clothes, they have white top hats.
Oh my God.
Imagine that. All the men come out singing white suits, white top hats. Guys in the front all have white canes.
Oh my gosh.
That would be a conference to remember.
It really would. If Eric was ever in charge of the wardrobe for the Tabby Cat.
Good luck to the women, because who knows what I would do there. But the men would have some stuff happen.
Oh my gosh. Okay, another thing about the choir is there were some new songs, maybe? I know one for sure.
No, there was a couple that I didn't recognize at least, but like, weren't typical songs from our hymn book.
Right. And I feel like usually for conference, it's like the same ones. Like you hear High on a Mountaintop.
Except another one that's often not in our hymn book that's a conference is Come Thou Fount. So that's, there have been a couple times where they like to pull an outside song.
Yeah. But
the talk is that they're going to be new songs in the hymn book. Right?
That's the speculation. In May, there's going to be a new hymn book. It has either 12
only
or
part
16.
of it in May, right? That's like the pre-release or something.
So they're doing it like they're not just releasing the whole new hymn book with all the hymns. They're releasing, it's either 12 or 16 new songs coming out in May. That's going to be hopefully in addition to our current hymn book. Otherwise, we're just going to have 12 to 16 songs to cycle through.
I really don't think that would happen.
I don't think that would happen either. But
imagine every month, like, here's 12 songs, make them last. All right.
Yeah.
Pick 3 a week, rotate through.
You'd get really familiar with them.
No, I mean, you do each one, 3 for each Sunday, and then you go to the next month, they give you your next 12. So.
Oh, I see. I feel like they should just, I don't know why they're doing it this way. They like just give us the whole book. I guess I think it's taking longer than they planned. Like they've been talking about this new hymn book forever.
They just know that's how everything works these days. You give people these small chunks, get their FOMO going. You got to get that new drop of hymns when it's coming this month. Don't miss church this month or you won't see those hymns. That
would be crazy. Every week it's like a new hymn. That's a good idea to get people at church. But
hopefully we don't need those kind of tactics to get people to church.
No, we don't use tactics. We're not like a cult or anything. Anyway.
Or are we?
That's a whole other episode.
Well, it already is an episode, right? We already talked about cult.
We did a little bit with Jasmine. Yeah. Anyway, I was excited they sang Amazing Grace. That is speculated to be one of the new hymns. I think it is speculated that there'll be more. I think they've even said like there's gonna be more general Christian hymns as well as hymns from around the world, since we are a worldwide church. So that will be exciting to see. Guess in May we'll find out. I didn't think I'd be this excited about the new hymn book. I mean, I like hymns. I like singing hymns, but I don't know. I'm excited. So another thing is the sustainings. So we did that Saturday morning session. We got a new president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, which is President Holland. We got a new apostle.
Acting president.
Acting president. You're right. And then a new apostle, Elder Kieran. 11 new general authorities and a new Sunday school general presidency. So, kind of a lot. Some noteworthy things. The new Sunday school presidency. So the new president is Elder Paul Johnson. I do remember some of his talks in the past. I don't remember specifically, but I remember hearing his name and I was like, oh, he's cool.
And then the last new thing was the presiding, right? So
conducting.
Yeah, I said presiding both times, but yeah, conducting. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's the first time that it was non-apostles or non-first presidency that were conducting 3 of the 5 sessions. So it's kind of cool.
It was cool. I think I would like to see more of that. I don't know if it's just because of the need. I mean, President Oaks did say we're grateful for their assistance. So it's like they clearly needed people to fill in, but I think it's kind of fun to see apostles conducting. What do you think?
Yeah, because obviously President Nelson wasn't in super great health because he wasn't there the whole time. And then
I think he was only at one session.
Yeah, and then President Eyring was, in a chair. So to have to be up and down constantly would have been a lot for all 5.
I like when he conducted, though, he had his own. They made another podium for him at his seat. I thought that was cool. I'm like, whoa, it looked just like the other one. What? I thought you were going to say something else. Okay, I want to get into some of the talks. So we'll kind of talk about some of the noteworthy ones, and then some of our personal faves. So I wanted to start with Elder Holland.
Gotta pull my list out here too.
Started off with a bang. His intro was hilarious. I feel like that was the funniest.
Well, I think it was really timely because so many people were wondering, like, well, where's Elder Holland been at conference? Because he's usually like a key talk people look forward to. And it's been a while.
Yeah. And then he comes and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And he's like, I hope they don't pull the trap door on me. And I was dying. I thought it was hilarious. And his talk was super good. So first he talked about his wife, his late wife, Pat. And I just think it's so touching every time the apostles like talk about their wives, because I'm sure as an apostle, like your wife plays a very crucial role in like your calling and in your life, obviously. You know what I'm trying to say? Like
they've been together for just a little while.
Yeah. And I can't, oh my gosh, it's so sad to think like after being together for so long and not having that person there with you every day. But I think it's so beautiful how he's like, she's the greatest woman I've ever known. And I just think it's so sweet. So
I thought what was really cool about that too was where he talked about how he appreciated everyone's prayers and he knew how many, hundreds of thousands of people were praying for him and the temple prayer rolls and all that stuff and praying for his wife. And he's like, and obviously those prayers weren't answered the way I wanted. And I'm like, can you imagine being an apostle and you're like, hey, please do this, God. And God's like, sorry, man, it's not what's happening. And he has to be like, I get it. Rather than being like, I'm an apostle, bro. Like I'm doing so much. Like, hook me up here, okay?
And she's done so much.
I've got enough prayers lined up to cash this in, man. Like I got so much faith behind this. We can make this miracle happen. Just say the word.
Yeah.
And he has to be like, you know what, God, I get it. All right.
Oh, it's so sad. Okay. He also talks about, this is crazy, his heavenly vision. Like, can we talk about this? Like, I know it was a sacred thing. But he brought it up, okay? He's the one. I feel like that gives us permission to speak about it. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. So he talks about how it's like 2 days after his wife is buried. He goes in the hospital. 6 weeks, he's in a coma, like in and out of consciousness. And he says he has like this heavenly encounter, okay? Here's the quote. He's like, I cannot speak fully of that experience here, but I can say part of what I received was an admonition to return to my ministry with more urgency, more consecration, more focus on the Savior, and more faith in his word. And he says later, he's like, so I'll do that in the following weeks or months I've been given. So like, first of all, I mean, that's wild.
The weeks and months comment, I feel like, was just him realizing he's old and not wanting it to be like, yo, I got decades left or whatever.
Well, but
I don't know if he was really saying like, hey, this year's it.
I mean, why would he say it at all then?
I mean, it's kind of how a lot of old people talk,
I mean, yeah.
But it is a real timeline for him. Like, it does show the urgency of his mindset where he's not saying like, hey, I got 10 years left. I can work on this. Like, you're 6 and 7. I'm really going to hit this goal.
Yeah.
Like, he is definitely, I mean, the urgency and everything, he's treating it like it could be weeks. Who knows, really? But.
Yeah. And just the fact that, like, even if it was, let's say it is weeks, the fact that he, like, has this heavenly spiritual encounter, who knows what it looks like. We don't have all the details, but he is healed, he's back in his health. And he's saying, I have to return to my ministry with more urgency, more consecration, more focus on the Savior, and more faith in his word. It's just like, what is he going to do in the next few weeks? You know what I mean? Like I just wonder what his new priorities are. And like, what was he not doing that he's going to be doing now? Like, he's already an apostle. Okay. He's doing a lot. How is he going to be more focused on the Savior? I mean, I don't know the guy, but he is pretty Christ-like to me from what I've seen. It's just crazy, like hearing him talk about that. Like, we can all be better, obviously, but like him, I don't know. I just think it's crazy. And I'm just like, I wonder what he's going to be doing and like prioritizing the rest of his ministry here. And I hope it's as long as we get him because he is such a precious soul. I love his talks.
Whew.
So President Eyring's talk.
President Eyring.
Yeah.
Okay, just skipping down. Okay.
Well, I had to select a few. I liked them all.
Yeah, I thought Elder Dushku was really good. I don't know if that's how you say his last name.
Oh, I have that one too.
Oh, okay.
So
you're not going in order.
His talk. I loved his talk.
She said they were in chronological order on her
Sorry,
list.
I know.
Not.
I don't know what happened.
Okay. Yeah, no, his is really cool because I really related to that because I was like, I don't think I've had a lot of pillar of light experience in my life, but the ray of light and how they build together and that, I thought was really cool way of looking at it.
Totally. That was such a good analogy. And I love how it came together to be the pillar of light like Joseph Smith saw. It was just chef's kiss.
Is that how you say his last name though? Dushku?
I don't know. I've never heard it spoken.
What about at conference when they announced that he was speaking?
Anyway, I liked Elder Gerard as well.
Yeah.
I think that was the same session.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about integrity, which I feel like, I don't know, you hear it as like a business principle or whatever. I thought it was really cool to hear him talk about it from a faith perspective. And it's interesting they added that to the list of Christ-like attributes in Preach My Gospel because it should be. And I'm like, in a world, like in today's world, it's just so needed. I feel like especially getting older and like working and just even, I don't know, just being an adult, like you can see how people can so easily just like slip into not having integrity and just like having that be the norm. So especially as members of the church and as disciples of Christ, like that is something we need to have. So I loved that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was really cool too. I was gonna say too, right at the start here, there were quite a few talks in conference with a very similar theme of temples and covenants.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just kind of looking through and I was like, I don't remember specifically who said what about the temple that much in covenants. I'm like, a lot of them kind of blend together for me, but I definitely remember it was a big central theme. So I'm like, if I picked out favorite talks, I probably wouldn't pick out any one about the temple because to me, they're kind of all built together into one talk almost. I don't know. But me skipping them doesn't mean I didn't like them. It's just like,
true.
I don't know. It was a lot of similar things that kind of tied. So I'm not like one didn't stand out over the other very much, I guess.
No, totally. Except President Oaks. I would say that for me, that was the one that stood out. And then also Sister Dennis, just because she focused more on the garments. But anyway, I totally see what you're saying. And I agree. Like, it was insane. Like, I do my little polls on Instagram. And I'm like, what were your overall themes or like insights? And it was just like temple. Like, all day, every day. That was it. Which was really cool. And knowing that they don't really coordinate, I think. Like, it's a very prayerful, like, decision.
I think based on what President Oaks said, the way he said it made it definitely sound like they don't coordinate topics.
Like, it's very personal, I think, what they choose to speak on. And it's so interesting how, like, in so many conferences, there's overarching themes.
Yeah.
And this one, I think, was one of the strongest overarching themes I've seen.
If we would have done our homework, we would have counted up how many talks were actually about the temple or covenants.
Yeah.
Which we didn't do because we're not homework people here. But it was a high percentage. So
I'm a homework.
Someone in the comments wants to put that down there. That would be great to see.
But like, and covenants are usually spoken about, but not like as a whole talk, I feel like. Like this one, there were several as like that.
Or like
was the
one
main
person would have that, like the covenant path, and that's like a whole talk, but not a whole lot of people.
So, and like, why do you think that is? Like at this point in time, why is that our overall theme for conference is covenants?
Whoa, deep.
I'm sorry.
What's going on these next 6 months?
Podcaster?
I'm just saying, like, to comment on like what's gonna happen here this year, these 6 months, to say like why this session or these, needed to be about covenants.
Yeah, like why?
Maybe because they felt inspired by the Spirit that it would be important for us.
But why do you think?
I mean, we talk about I guess to me, what really stood out a lot about what people said about the temple was just how it helps us, right, in our daily life and struggles going on. So I feel like as church members, we get a lot of flack for a lot of things. A lot of beliefs we have aren't that popular, or even members of the church that are questioning things that they're like, how come the church has to do this thing this way? How come we can't just change this policy because it would help my loved one, it would help me, whatever it is. And I think having the temple and having those covenants is what really binds us back to saying, hey, you know what? I don't fully understand why this thing is this way, but I understand the power of the temple, and I understand I cannot get that anywhere else.
Yep.
You know,
I
because
totally agree.
if all you have is like the Bible and you're like, oh yeah, I have faith in Jesus. There are so many churches that teach that. And sure, you could say we teach it better or whatever, and that's, debatable, but you cannot debate if the temple is real and if the temple has power, this is where you get it.
Yep. And I think like in the world where spirituality and is becoming so popular and people are so against organized religion, it's like, this is why we need organized religion. It's because we need temples. We need the covenants that we make there with God. And just like President Oak said, like what makes our church different, it's that. So I'm with you 1,000%. That actually reminded me too of a comment. We did a reel about like the controversy with women in the priesthood and equality and everything. And someone wrote a comment I loved. I wish I had it pulled up, but they said, I think people who get really like worked up about this issue, and this is not everyone's feelings are valid, but this is what this person was saying, is that people are so focused on like church and church policy and like who sits up at the pulpit at church and blah, 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 church stuff, when like everything's about the temple. Like the temple is what, and in the temple, we are equal. And so I just feel like it's so interesting how, because we go to church every Sunday, it does feel like that is what we do as members.
I just go to the temple twice a week and then suddenly it's outnumbered.
True. But like the temple is the goal. The temple is why we go to church. The temple is why we have activities. It's a holier place than the church building. Yes, that is it. And I think this conference like made that very clear. So I love that. President Eyring also spoke about the temple and temple covenants. I just have to talk about this most crazy story about him and his wife driving like 30 minutes away to a ceiling. And they get out of the ceiling and the Teton Dam has collapsed.
Yeah,
they have no way to call home. They have like 4 young boys who are being watched by a babysitter. The roads are closed. They have no way to call home. They have to stay the night at a motel just hoping that their children, like what?
That their family wasn't swept away in a flood. Yeah.
And they know like all the residents of Rexburg, like people are homeless. Like who knows if people died? Like they don't know. Like that is the most insane. I would never be the same.
Well, that's literally that like his wife is up freaking out and he's like, man.
Okay, he was sleeping. Not like, He said, all will be well because of the covenants we made in the temple.
Yeah, he was like,
I feel like that would be us. But Eric,
yeah,
if Eli was with us, I'm about to start crying again. I told Eric when we were listening, I was like, I would be swimming. Like I would be, you probably can't do that. But like, how scary is that? But like, that's just how much faith he had. Because obviously
trusting
the
your
wife
covenants to realize even if they died in that flood, they would be okay.
Oh, it's just so sad, but it's true. I need that amount of faith that like, because obviously the wife is freaking out and can't sleep. I'm sure he's just as worried. Not to say his wife didn't have faith.
He didn't seem worried
either,
though,
but like he had the covenant confidence. And I think that's incredible because that was the most insane story I think that has ever been shared. Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe not ever been shared, but like a personal experience. You know what I mean? I don't know.
It's a tough situation to be in, yeah.
Maybe it's just because I'm a mom now, but like I truly can't imagine. Like to not even be able to, okay, what did they do? The babysitter take the kids home with her, like, or him?
They probably just hunkered down at the house if it was safe there. Otherwise, they evacuated with everybody
But
else.
the
And they were hanging out some
babysitter, could they
stadium.
have called their parents? Like, because their parents are probably worried about them.
I mean, who knows how much warning they had or any. Obviously, didn't go into a lot of details because it was a quick story and conference. But
I need, if you,
you
lived
can look it
through
up
that,
and probably see the old news articles
wow.
about it.
Am I getting into history? I want to know what happened because it really is going to keep me up at night. Okay, anyway. Let me know if anyone has insight because that was crazy.
There you go. Well, that was Saturday morning session.
Yeah.
Afternoon session, I gotta agree with what Mimi said earlier. I didn't have as many standouts from this session, but I do think Elder Bednar started off strong again. I think it's interesting. Did every single session start with an apostle? I think so. They came out swinging every session. And so I thought it was just really cool how he talked about being still and like what that really means, what that really looks like, having peace through God, and what that kind of in our daily life and how to actually have it be applicable.
Yeah, I love that one too. So I feel like online there's been a lot of talk lately. I mean, this has been going on for months about wearing garments. And I think it happened, this all was sparked when the temple recommend interview questions. Is it the temple recommend interview? Something changed where instead of saying we wear garments night and day, it says we wear garments throughout our life. I believe it's temple recommend question, right? And so I think since then, people online have been talking about like, okay, like, so do I have to wear them like 24/7? Like, or I know some people, and I, again, take this with a grain of salt because this is just on social media. And I feel like sometimes the minority appears to be more than it is. But I know some people online have said like, I only wear my garments on Sundays or like when I go to the temple. And it seems like a majority of people still wear it all the time though. But I think the last conference we heard Sister Freeman talk about this. And then this conference we heard Sister Dennis and President Oaks talk about how it's like you pretty much wear them as often as you can, which has been, I feel like, an understanding.
Yeah, I think President Oaks literally said you wear them except for those times where you obviously can't.
Yeah. And so I'm like, that pretty much makes it clear. But it's like, is that just a recommendation from an apostle? Because why did they take that out of the temple recommend interview question then? Some people physically can't, right? Because they have physical, like whatever, like issues where they can't wear garments all the time. So is that why it was taken out? Or is President Oaks just a recommendation?
Or were they even trying to take it out as much as they were just trying to change how it was phrased because day and night was weird and they wanted to show that it was more than that or something?
But I feel like they have to think about how people are going to interpret that.
I mean, it's the
because
same thing as
just
when you
throughout
say
our life is not clear as like, it could be once a week, it could be once a month, but if it's throughout your life, you know what I mean?
I think that's kind of silly. People interpret that way. You can disagree with me, whatever. But like throughout my life, I'm like, oh, that means all the time throughout my life. It doesn't mean
It's just interesting they
here
took it
and there
out then.
throughout my. That's what, to me. They didn't take it out. They just changed it.
Okay.
To,
I'm just saying how other people
because
have
before you
taken
say, oh, I only had to wear it day and night before, so I wore it during the day, I wore it during the night, but afternoon I was fine.
No, that-
I only had to hit a couple hours in the day, I only had a couple
Day
hours at
and
night.
night
So
is-
now
Day and night is very clear.
I wore it
Throughout
one
your
day, I wore it
life
one night. I'm set for
is
life.
more open to interpretation.
I'm just saying,
That's
you
how
can
it comes
twist
across
any
to me.
phrase as much as you want, right? But I was gonna say, I think it's like for the Strength of Youth when they changed that, right? It used to be very specific with the checklist, with all these things, this, that, the other. And instead, they kind of pulled back and said, like, here are the principles we're trying to follow. To me, that's kind of the phrasing difference there. Rather than trying to be a checklist for people of day and night and trying to be specific, instead, it's like you're supposed to be making a covenant to wear this throughout your life. This is not a short-term thing. This is not like a here and there or whatever. Like, this is a consistent throughout your life thing you're supposed to be doing. So that's why to me, it wasn't like, oh, they just laxed up the standards. Great. It's like they just changed how they phrased it to focus on the message of what we're actually doing with this covenant that we're making and the commitment that we're actually making.
Yeah, I could see that. I wonder if part of it too is like there are some circumstances, like we talked about, if you have health issues, or like when I gave birth, I did not wear my garments for like days or weeks after that. I wonder if it's to like help people give themselves grace if they're going through circumstances like that, of like, I physically can't wear my garments right now. Okay, another thing about garments that people bring up is that we don't covenant to wear garments. And I know there's a lot of like debate on that, but if you look in, this is my own personal opinion, if you look in the temple, like, no, it's not one of the covenants that we make in the temple. So I thought it was interesting that, sorry, it looked like, do you want to say something about that?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's an implied, like, no, you don't literally say like, I'm covenanting to do this.
Right.
But like, you're literally told to do it.
Right. So I thought it was interesting.
And you say, I will be obedient. So if you're told to do it by God and then you covenant to be obedient, didn't you just covenant?
I know. That's why it's debatable. I'm just saying it's never specifically said, I covenant to wear garments. It's not. And so anyway, I just thought it was interesting that Sister Dennis, she didn't specifically address this, but there's a quote from her that says, by keeping my covenants and obligations with God, including wearing the garment of the holy priesthood, my life can become a personal symbol of my love and deep gratitude for my Savior, Jesus Christ, and my desire to have him with me always, which for me, like, I love. And I think it's kind of cool that she addressed it in that way as like an obligation. But just to kind of wrap this up, because again, we could do a whole other episode on this. For me, like, it's never been a question. It's like, if I have been given authority to wear garments, it is such an honor and privilege. And of course I want that like as much as possible. And I love how she says, your very life can become a personal symbol of my love and gratitude for my Savior. And I loved her talk and just talking about like the symbolism of different things. It was such a good one I want to study more in depth. So thank you, Sister Dennis, for that. But I think we did get some clarification in this conference about garments. And so hopefully that can be beneficial to people.
Or people can choose to ignore it and not follow,
because these are
current
recommendations,
teachings.
Right? I mean, conferences, that's always the thing with like,
yeah, it's just there to help us and lead us to be better.
Right.
But we can just not be better if we want.
Right.
It's always our choice. Which most of us choose to do every conference, right? We're always told to do a lot of list of things. They'll bring up like, hey, you should be journaling. And we're always like, all right, what was the next talk? What? What did you say? I missed it. Sorry, huh? Weird. Okay. So, I mean, we all got selective hearing for conference, right? So it happens.
It's true. But we do our best.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just keep it to favorites, because like there are a lot of really good ones where I'm like, oh yeah, that one had like a cool thing. That one had a cool thing. Jumping to Saturday evening, first talk, Elder Bowen, like that talk just like came out of nowhere and just hit me. Like that was amazing. So that was the guy who talked about all the different priesthood spiritual experiences.
About the miracles?
Yeah, I was like, dang, man.
That one was so good.
Yeah, it was just powerful, like to just see his, I mean, I guess his family line, right? So like the first one was his grandpa, and then his dad, and then him, or just his grandpa and him. I don't remember exactly, but just the power. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like some people can like share a spiritual experience, and you're like, oh, that was really cool. But just like the power behind it, you could see like his conviction of the power of the priesthood, and like it wasn't just like just some fluke that happened. You're like, man, this man like believed it. He was ready when he was called upon to do so. Like he was in the moment. Like, we talk about being prepared and worthy to hold the priesthood, to exercise that authority. Like, it didn't seem like there was a moment of question for him. He was just ready because he believed it with every fiber of his being that this was possible.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that was just really powerful. Again, where you have this terrifying experience of like literally his child dead in a car accident, but he just jumps in action. He's just like, this is what we do. Give him our blessing. She's going to be fine. We're just going to keep going.
Yeah.
And I'm sure obviously there was some inner fear and stuff going on there and all that, but like, man, that was just a reinforcement to me, because I'm like, I don't know. A lot of time, if I'm giving someone a blessing, I'm like, I hope this helps. You know, like I know it can, but will it? Because, again, like Elder Holland shared so many prayers for his wife, and she still passed away. Now, he says those prayers were answered, so it's not like we say, oh, well, the prayers didn't work.
Right.
They were answered a different way than he would have wanted and what we would have all, been praying for. But, when we give a priesthood blessing and we say, you know what, we're going to bless this person, we're giving a blessing of healing because we're doing with oil and everything, like, but who knows what's going to happen. So sometimes it's easy to have that doubt of like, it could work.
Right.
But do I believe it's gonna? Where am I at? So it's just kind of cool to just see that as just a strong example of just having that faith, which, what if she wouldn't have made it? I don't think he would have been shaken whatsoever. He'd been like, you know what? I felt like I should have blessed her. This is what happened. And, she didn't make it and my family is still sealed, and he would have been totally fine. I don't think he would have like left the church and freaked out or anything like that. Yeah. But just seeing that commitment and that dedication was cool.
Totally. Another one I loved was Elder Uchtdorf about finding happiness. I loved Elder Kieran. Okay, it was so great to hear from him. He talked about how God like is in constant pursuit of you, which is so cool. Like just to think about that. And okay, my sister-in-law texted us this as he was speaking, you guys. This is the craziest thing. So
Not that crazy.
Yes, it is, Eric. It is. Elder Kieran's voice is identical to Tom Hiddleston, who is Loki in Marvel. Okay. And when you listen to put on Elder Kieran's talk and close your eyes and think of Loki saying,
okay, here's a question though. Is that because they're from the same area? They have a similar accent?
It might be, but I feel like even their tone is similar. But I think it is. They must be from the same region or something.
Yeah, it's like, wow, you guys are both from the same country. It's wow, you sound the same.
No, but even in the UK, like there's different dialects.
Yeah, different parts of it. So it's like, wow, you guys are from the same area.
Okay, but even the tone, like the deepness of the voice.
That's true. They had a lot of similar
and like the intonation, he sounded just like Loki. Sorry, Loki sounds like Elder Kieran. You should flip it.
There you go.
I loved.
Elder Bangeter, I thought was just really cool. One phrase that he said was, how his dad came and talked to him about protecting the private moments of his life.
Oh,
which I thought was really cool. Like the dad just taking that so seriously, to have that moment with him and like realize this is such an important thing. Like just thinking about like a teenage boy and like, all the different life experience you have from then on and how important that really is. And I mean, as a church, we like to talk a lot about like pornography and that kind of stuff, but it's so much broader than that, to just realize it's going back to that talk about integrity. It's just who you are as a person. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, okay, great, we're going to go to church on Sunday, we're going to be good, but if we're alone, are we choosing to read scriptures? Mm-hmm. If no one else is around, is that what we're actually doing with our spare time? Are we watching the movies that we're supposed to be watching, or avoiding things we should be supposed to be avoiding? Or we're like, it's just me, I can handle it.
Right. No, that one was so good. Okay, I loved Elder Stevenson's about the bridges and the 2 great commandments. Sorry, I'm laughing because we're watching, and he's like, Elder Stevenson is like, I'm really into bridges. And like, I don't know, I was like, maybe I'm really into bridges. Like, it was cool hearing him talk. Like, just like, it's great. Did you see the picture of the Golden Gate Bridge? How does that work?
He actually explained how it works.
Well, I know, but like,
if you're listening, you might need to go back and listen again if you have this many questions.
If you look at it, it's like, that's wild.
You ever watch that show Modern Marvels?
No.
Yeah, that's what it was about. Is like crazy engineering feats that man has accomplished, like realizing like, whoa, how they figured this out to you build 2 pillars and you put suspension between it. You can make this giant bridge with cars all over it and stuff, or how we have a tower that goes up hundreds of feet in the air, all these different things.
Oh, I need to watch that. And actually it just clicked because I always say in a different lifetime I was actually an engineer and not like a social media person.
And when she says in another lifetime, she does not believe in reincarnation.
I don't, but like,
it's a figure of speech for her.
I think my life could have went a different path where I was like a very successful engineer. Maybe all the engineers watching are like, how dare you?
Girl, you would never make it.
No, I feel like I'm good at math. I was. Anyway.
It would have been a very different path for you.
No, but
it could have happened.
I know, but
I mean, you had the work
that's-
ethic and dedication. You could have learned it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And
I mean,
just
not to say you lost your work ethic or dedication, but I mean, like in that phase of school, like you went really hard. You could have.
I could have done it, and maybe I could have made the Golden Gate Bridge
Well, you'd have been born a lot
in
earlier.
a different lifetime. It's just a different path. Anyway, not to make this about me, you guys. I just really liked the bridge analogy. I thought it was cool. Do you have any
Very
others?
unfortunate timing for that talk.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh because that is tragic what happened.
Yeah.
But like, can you imagine him?
Yeah, when he
having
started,
his talk prepared.
I was wondering if he was gonna address it, and then he did.
Yeah.
All right, that's crazy. I'd have written the whole thing, and imagine that debate he had of like,
should I still go forward with it? Yeah. I'm glad he did, but I'm glad he addressed it. Yeah. Okay. Do you have any other faves before we go into President Nelson?
I think those are the big ones. Yeah, obviously, there's a lot of great stuff. I mean, I don't know. I feel like every conference is good. I feel like this one was like really great, and I don't know if that means I was more spiritually prepared and open, or if it actually was a better conference. Who knows, really, I guess. But I thought this one was like really good compared to past recent ones.
I think it was good. I feel like there's always a few standouts, but yeah, I think there were actually a lot that I was like really into.
Well, that's what I mean. Like usually I have like a few talks from conference,
Yeah.
like, that one was really good, that one was really good, but I feel like there was just more of those this time than usual.
Yeah, I agree. President Nelson's was incredible. We'll just talk briefly because I know oh my gosh, we still have to do my best dress list. Like we can't skip that.
And no memes yet. Oh my gosh.
Okay. How
That's
did
what people
we
watch
save the
this
most
for.
important things for last? I'm just kidding. President Nelson does a video, which was cute. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know.
It could sound like he's just doing a little selfie video in his bathroom. He's like doing a get ready with me.
I don't know, I
while
was just trying to like just say that it was a video. Okay, it was cute.
So yeah, President Nelson gave a pre-recorded message again because
Yes.
his health, I guess, hasn't been as good.
I wondered like he was his back before, right?
Right.
Anyway, it was. I'm just so glad we got to see him. Is what I'm trying to say, and he looked very cute. Is that disrespectful? Why are you looking at me like that?
It's just weird for me. I mean, I know a lot of women like are like, oh, cute old
Eric,
man.
it's not like a
but-
threat to you.
No, not like that. I just, to
Okay.
me, calling someone cute is almost not like disrespectful, but it's like he's the prophet. And you're like,
It's
oh, he's
true.
cute. Like,
But he is.
it's like, I don't know, like a little childish, where it's like just a respect for the calling.
No, I could
and,
see
yeah.
that. I could
That's-
see it.
I'm not threatened that you're gonna ask about.
No, I know. Okay. So he talks first about the recent purchase of the Kirtland Temple and the other stuff that we got in that. Sorry, there's a lot. I'm not going to go down the list. And he talks about the Kirtland Temple. Like, sorry, is it Kirtland or Kirkland? Because in half my notes, I have
Costco is Kirkland,
I know Costco is Kirkland.
and so church is
It's
Kirtland.
okay. I didn't know if it was the same or different.
It's not the same.
Okay, look at my notes.
As a common struggle many youth in the church have.
The Kirkland Temple.
Yeah, the Costco Temple will be built in Salt Lake City, Utah,
Oh my god.
coming 2030.
Okay. So I thought it was really cool hearing him talk about like the significance of that temple and what happened there and just tying everything in to covenants. And like his talk, I felt like was super deep. I'm like, I need to go back and study every word because I just feel like with President Nelson, he's so well spoken, but he's so intentional with his words. And so I feel like it's not just a talk that you can like listen to. Like I feel like you have to go in and read it because you just get more out of it.
I mean, that just reminded me of, we didn't talk about Elder Razban's talk about words.
Oh yeah.
When you were like, every word, I was
Yeah.
like, actually there's a whole talk about how President Nelson's words are a real big deal. But.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't in one of the 3 that he said, but I don't think.
What?
Oh, no, he was. Oh, yeah.
He was talking like all about
yeah,
President Nelson.
Yeah, that was his whole talk. Sorry. I know he talked about Jesus, but then he did talk about President Nelson.
No, he said the whole thing about how he changed his temple dedicatory prayer to include a bunch of teachings from President Nelson.
Yeah, that was a really good talk. I do recall.
He didn't mention him.
Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
What else did you like about President
Actually,
Nelson's talk?
I think that'll be interesting to see with the Kirtland Temple, like what exactly will happen with that going forward.
Well, they said.
Did they?
Yeah.
They said it'll be a historic site.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, it won't be
now.
Like it won't be a dedicated temple. I'm sure that was part of the agreement when we purchased that like it needs to be open for visitors so that the Community of Christ, is that still their name or they changed their name? That they would still have access to it, because they're like, hey, I'm assuming they're like, hey, you guys have better resource to be able to take care of this and preserve it as a historic site. But we don't want to get shut out suddenly.
Right. I think you're spot on.
Yeah.
But
what? We're going to be shading like 5 years from now? Just like,
I don't
we're
think
dedicating
5
this bad boy.
years
We're
from
locking the
now.
doors.
But the end times are upon us.
Well, I mean, after the second coming, all contracts are off. That's fine. Like,
I mean, maybe before. I don't know. That's what people are saying.
well, I think the church, I think actually like that's an interesting thing to realize too, is over, especially recent years, the church has really valued relationships with other churches a lot.
Yeah.
Realizing like in the past, like apostles would just smack down other churches, and be like, we're the one true church. And these guys are the great whore in all the earth, like that kind of stuff. And then they realize like, you know what? Other people are just trying to do good, and we might disagree with some of the things they teach, and we might think like obviously we believe we have the authority and they lack that, so like that's a huge thing to be missing.
Yeah.
But like, what benefit is there from smacking down other people trying to follow God? Even non-Christian religions, if they're truly trying to be better and follow God, like why would we smack down on them even?
Yeah.
And so I think it's cool, like even like Community of Christ, where we're like, obviously we got some very big beef on church history of things where that split happened and everything. But like they value that relationship. Like, you know what? Like, no, we're not going to just like tell you, hey, yeah, we'll take care of this. And then be like, sorry, guys.
No, yeah. I don't think it's going to happen soon. And just to know what you were saying.
Like, I mean, not 5 years.
I'm just saying like eventually, it's just such a sacred temple. Like Jesus was in there.
Anyway,
I was
is
just
the house
gonna.
of the Lord,
I know,
as you heard in this conference.
I know.
Actually, I thought it was interesting. Who was that? It said literally the house of the Lord.
I don't know.
Was that Elder Rasman? I don't remember. I'll have to look for that. But I was like, whoa. He said,
was it
literally?
Me?
No, it was
say literally
one of the apostles.
That's exciting. So, this was the coolest thing ever. It was President Nelson's promise to all of us. Can I just read it?
Yeah.
It's so good. So he says, nothing will help you more to hold fast to the iron rod than worshiping in the temple as regularly as your circumstances permit. Nothing will protect you more as you encounter the world's mists of darkness. Nothing will bolster your testimony of the Lord Jesus Christ and his atonement or help you understand God's magnificent plan more. Nothing will soothe your spirit more during times of pain. Nothing will open the heavens more. Nothing. And he said, like, this is my promise to you. Like, so we've got help us hold fast to the iron rod, protection from the world's mist of darkness, bolster our testimony, understand God's plan, soothe your spirit, and open the heavens. Like, that's some good stuff. And I feel like, I don't know, I just need to hear that. Like, and I need to get back to the temple. Like, I've been pregnant and really, really sick. And so it's been hard. But I just feel like in any kind of life's
But then you hear General
problems.
Conference where someone's like traveling 200 miles and
trekking
through the wilderness.
Don't make me feel
No, but I mean,
bad.
that's the thing though, is we hear these stories where we're like, oh, like We all
Okay, I don't want to be throwing up in a session.
No, I'm not trying to discredit you, but I'm saying like
that.
all of us, you know, we do this where we try and justify where we're like, I've been busy with work and I've just had things, you know, where it's like, this is a good wake up call. I feel like for us to be like, whoa,
facts.
We could make it happen.
Yeah.
Okay. There are days we can't. We could make it happen.
Mm-hmm. And just knowing the benefits. It's like, this is a promise from God's prophet today. So if you didn't already get this message from conference, you should probably go to the temple.
Or prepare yourself to be worthy to go.
Yes.
If you're too young to go, make sure you're worthy and be ready and learn about it and everything. If you're old enough to go and you're not worthy yet, then, well, you could be too young for that.
You think children under the age of 11 are watching this podcast?
Every child in the church.
Okay.
From ages 2 to 14. After that, they kind of tune out. They get rebellious. Then they start watching us again around 18.
Okay.
But, I mean, you know, and those who are old enough to go to the temple, you know, I know it can be hard to hear, like, how important the temple is and to hear, like, how many blessings there are from going and how special this is, and to have some big obstacle keeping you from going. And just feeling like you're failing and you're missing out on something so huge and you're so awful of a person because you just can't fix whatever this thing is and be there. But I mean, that's the message of conference and of the gospel is like, you're not terrible. You are struggling. You need help, but God is there to help you. Christ is there to help you. His atonement is there to help you to overcome it. It is possible. You can go to the temple. Maybe not today, but you can go down that path. You can make it happen. And it doesn't even have to be that long of a journey, really, but that, you know, Christ's healing is there for you, that you can go. So these blessings are your blessings. These are your promises as well. It's not for everyone else except you because you're not going to make it. Like, you can and should. Yeah. And just plan on that you're going to make it and make it happen.
That's beautiful, Eric. I love that. That's it. I'm literally starving. I need to eat right now. Thank you so much for watching. It was fun talking, rehashing conference. I really want to know your guys' thoughts, like your favorite talks, overall insights, themes, anything that you want to share with us. Let us know.
See you.
Bye.